Good morning, Montana. I'm Chris Oswalt. Thanks for waking up with us. We will know later today who the new interim superintendent of the Helena School District will be for the 2016-2017 academic year. 4 candidates are in the running. Current Assistant Superintendent Greg Upham, then Jefferson School Principal Lona Carter-Scallion, the Education Director at Chaudere Children's Hospital, Keith Meyer, and Jack Coops, recently worked as the Superintendent of the Billings Public Schools. The public is invited to attend and provide public comment. The meeting is scheduled for 5:30 at the Ray Bajork Learning Center. A possible bomb on a school bus turns out to be nothing more than water bottles and batteries. Lewis and Clark County Sheriff's deputies responded to the first student bus barn at around 4:10 Wednesday afternoon. Deputies say kids were trying to blow up batteries and water bottles. First student has declined to comment. This scare was just one of several around the nation over the last couple of days. Turning things over to weather now. Chief Meteorologist Chris Oswalt is back with us. Looking like we've got some rain still in the forecast.
Yeah, still some rain in the forecast, but hey, at least it continues to dampen the fire danger. Yeah. But good news is, as we head toward the weekend, we start to dry things out just in time for the holiday weekend. So here's what will happen with future track. And notice how most of the shower and thunderstorm activity is either far northeastern Montana or closer to the Continental Divide. So I think Helena and west of Great Falls will see a lot of activity later this afternoon and this evening. Heading into Friday, more rain and yeah, even a little higher elevation snow above about 8,000 feet. You can see the scattered showers and thunderstorms here throughout the state on Friday. But the good news is all of that moves out. Saturday and Sunday should be really nice, generally dry for most of the state. Just an isolated storm in the mountains on Sunday.
Definitely get outside and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And more news, weather, and sports, KTVH.com. Have a great morning. Happy Friday, Montana, and thanks for waking up with us. I'm Chris Oswalt. Hours after securing the magic number, the Republican nominee for President Donald Trump makes a stop right here in the Treasure State. While speaking to a crowd at the Metro Park Rimrock Arena yesterday, Trump took aim at those who said he wouldn't be the nominee. He said he knew all along that he would be. Much of the billionaire's speech focused on his campaign and how far it has come, what he says is a success. A small group of volunteers have a big job on their hands: gain support for and build a tournament quality sports facility for Helena. Members of the Helena Regional Sports Association, HRSA, say there is a need. The Queen City is short on gym and swim space. HRSA board members briefed Hometown Helena about the potential project on Thursday. Currently, the 5-member board is conducting a feasibility study to see what the facility should include, where it should go, and how big it should be.
Well, we know we've got unmet needs, so this isn't a matter of, if we're going to do something. It's really just a matter of what, how big and what kinds of facilities. And that's where we really need the community to become aware of this now and to respond to our surveys and to express what those unmet needs are so that it can come into the planning process.
HRSA members are looking for community partners for the project and the community feedback. They will be launching a community survey on their website in about a week. You can find more about that by logging on to KTVH.com. And probably a good time to get indoors if you're going to do anything, because the weather just is not cooperating today.
Today, not cooperating. This weekend, though, we'll see some improvements. There you can see today's forecast: scattered showers and thunderstorms. How about Saturday? Yeah, that's a lot nicer, drier with high temperatures in the 60s. Sunday, even warmer, 60s and 70s. However, for Memorial Day, we've got the storms moving back in by the afternoon and evening.
Looking forward to that weekend. Be sure to get out and enjoy it. More news, weather, and sports, KTVH.com. Have a great morning. Good morning, Montana, and thanks for waking up with us. I'm Chris Oswalt. People living at Helena's Memorial Park apartment are frantically looking for a place to call home with less than a day before the apartment complex closes for good. MTN first brought you this story 11 days ago when the people who lived there shared their frustrations about having to move. The apartment complex is closing down at midnight tonight after not meeting fire regulations. The owner has a for rent or lease sign out front. One tenant living off of disability doesn't have enough money to pay first and last month's rent for a new apartment. She's now putting her stuff in storage and will live in a small Winnebago.
I wake up every morning trying not to cry. And right now, yeah, it's hard.
The owner tells MTN if the tenants aren't out by this Wednesday, he will have to take them to court. 2 people are okay after their car plunges into Holter Lake late Sunday night. The West Valley Fire Chief tells MTN the driver of the car lost control and rolled into the lake. Both people were able to get out, but were complaining of shoulder pain. They were taken to St. Peter's Hospital as a precaution. This crash remains under investigation. Turning things out now over to Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenitz. What are we looking at this week? Pretty nice Memorial Day.
It was pretty nice for the most part, and also looking at the last day of May today and the first day of June, we start clearing things out and warming things up in a big way. The storm that brought showers and thunderstorms to parts of the state on Memorial Day, notice how that's moving out. Still a couple of isolated showers basically east of Lewistown, east of Havre, out around Glasgow down to Miles City, but most of the state will be dry. We clear things out and really start to warm things up as we get into Wednesday, and later this week we'll be up into the 80s, so the unofficial start of summer brought summer-like weather.
Good. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks, Curtis. More news, weather, and sports online at KTVH.com. Have a great morning. Good morning, Montana, and thanks for waking up with us. I'm Chris Oswalt. Montana Republicans are calling for a special session. They want to consider raising campaign contribution limits to be more in line with nearby states. The group of legislators filed the request on Tuesday with the Secretary of State's office. Part of the proposed special session would look at closing a loophole that allows political parties to pay for campaign staffers. A one-day special session would cost $92,000. Time is almost up for the residents of the Memorial Park Apartments. The remaining few tenants had to be out at midnight. Many still unsure of where they are going. The executive director of the Helena Housing Authority tells MTN there are many options, but not enough, and most have long waiting lists. The public housing has 387 people waiting, and Section 8 has just under 400.
Do we need more affordable housing? Absolutely. There's a huge lack of that in our community.
The Memorial Park Apartments had 35 different units. The National Park Service says it is considering putting a cap on how many visitors can visit the nation's national parks each day. The agency says this comes as they kick off a centennial summer and expect to draw record crowds. And Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenitz, we've got heat in the forecast, so you might sweat if you go to the national parks.
Yeah, a nice weekend maybe to do that, but take a look at this ridge that's building up over the western part of the country. There goes the jet stream and the little dip with the storm that hit us on Memorial Day, but high pressure building over the west, and look at the warmer colors really moving in, and by Sunday, we've got a very large ridge of high pressure over the western U.S., and we're talking temperatures here in Montana going up through the 70s into the 80s, and there will be a few 90s, low 90s in far western Montana Sunday afternoon. Wow.
Definitely starting to feel like summer.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. More news, weather, and sports on KTVH.com. Have a great morning. Good morning, Montana, and thanks for waking up with us. I'm Chris Oswalt. Classes resume at UCLA today after a shooting Wednesday locked the campus down. According to police, 2 people were killed, the result of a murder-suicide. The shooting took place inside the engineering building. The Los Angeles Times reports a professor was shot by someone young enough to be a student who then turned the gun on himself. Back here in Montana, Kalispell police are still looking for whoever caused a lot of damage to several buildings around town. Legis Stadium and several schools were targeted by the vandals. Plaques and walls were defaced and windows broken. Several vehicles and even a local church were also hit. Police want anybody with information to give them a call. The start of meteorological summer kicked off with a small wildfire near Canyon Ferry Lake. Nearly a dozen fire crews were called to the area of CHALLT recreation area around 4:30 yesterday. An improperly disposed cigar is being blamed for starting this quarter-of-an-acre wildfire. No one was hurt, and luckily the damage was only to the land. And Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenitz, we saw a lot of rain the last week or so, but that's not stopping the wildfire threat.
Yeah, fires can still start. Don't be irresponsible throwing cigarettes or cigars out the window. Pull your car over into tall grass. The underneath of the car could get hot, start a fire. So it's time to start being fire smart. We've got a little system that's going to come through the state today, producing a few isolated thunderstorms. You've got a Much better chance of staying dry here today, but still nonetheless watch out for a couple of those storms, and then everything clears out heading into Friday and the weekend. The weekend is looking warm, but today, tomorrow, with the winds picking up, the fire danger will also increase.
Definitely a reminder to be aware. Thanks, Curtis. More news, weather, and sports online, KTVH.com. Have a great morning. Happy Friday, Montana, and thanks for waking up with us. I'm Chris Oswalt. The Canadian man who put a baby bison in the back of his car while visiting Yellowstone has pleaded guilty. 70-year-old Shumash Kassam made the required court appearance by phone yesterday. He was ordered to pay a $200 fine, make a $500 community service payment to the Yellowstone Park Foundation Wildlife Protection Fund, and pay court costs of $35. The man was also put on 6 months probation. The bison calf had to be euthanized by park officials after being rejected by its herd. Weeds knee high, the gates locked. One HELENA woman makes it her mission to maintain the ARLA Pet Cemetery. Kay Schloss has been volunteering at the cemetery since 2011. The Lewis and Clark County Humane Society created new rules limiting visitors and volunteers at the cemetery. The Humane Society board chairman says it was due to safety concerns. The woman took her frustrations to the city manager, who decided to take full responsibility for the Humane Society.
Because I like to work out there and take care of it, and it's my legacy to the HELENA people, you know. It's something that they can be proud of now.
They can get back to work, and we can get back to work, and you know, everybody can go away happy. A win-win situation. That's what happened.
This week, the Humane Society will be signing liability over to the city. The next step is for Parks and Recreation to assess the best way to maintain the cemetery using volunteers. If you're getting outside this weekend, it's going to be a great weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be warm. Let's take a look at what's going to happen. Yesterday's clouds and a couple of isolated showers moving well off toward the east. Mostly sunny today. Saturday, the heat is on, and we've got clear skies and diminishing wind coming up here in the forecast.
It's finally starting to feel a lot like summer.
Yeah, it's only early June.
Yes, it is. More news, weather, sports, KTVH.com. Have a great morning. Good morning, Montana, and thanks for waking up with us. I'm Chris Oswalt. Fish, Wildlife, and Parks say they are doing whatever they can to capture a baby moose abandoned near Warm Springs after its mother was hit and killed. A MTN viewer sent us this picture of the baby moose running near homes. FWP says they are aware of the moose and have attempted to capture it, but they haven't had any luck. FWP officials say they are looking for options if they are able to capture it. Right now, those officials don't think this moose has much of a chance of survival. With the unofficial start of summer amongst us, officials are reminding us to be safe on the roads. Historically, the 100 deadliest days on U.S. highways runs from Memorial Day to Labor Day. According to AAA, more than 5,000 people have been killed in car crashes involving teens over the last 5 years nationwide. The Montana Department of Transportation reported 224 people died on Montana roads last year alone.
Even if you're stopped at a stoplight, it takes 20 seconds cognitively to get back into realizing what you're doing while you're driving. So a lot of people take time to catch up on texts and phone calls at stoplights, but that is also a hazard.
AAA Mountain West wants parents to be proactive about informing their teens regarding the serious dangers of driving distracted. For more information, go ahead and log on to KTVH.com. Turning things now over to Chief Meteorologist Chris Oswalt, and it's going to be hot.
Yeah, hot this weekend for June. Temperatures getting up into the 80s and maybe even a 90 over around Missoula by Sunday. Hardly any cloud cover. Maybe an isolated storm down there around Yellowstone, up over the Beartooth Highway, Wind River Range, so really south of Montana, but most of the state should be completely sunny and dry. UV index up around 10 or 11, so use that sunscreen because you could get burned in about 15 minutes.
It doesn't take long. Not at all. Thanks, Curtis. More news, weather, and sports, KTVH.com. Have a great morning. Happy Hump Day, Montana, and thanks for waking up with us. I'm Chris Oswalt. A busy morning across the state as ballots from Montana's primary continue to be counted. At this hour, it is clear incumbent Governor Steve Bullock and Republican challenger Greg Gianforte will face off in the general election. Republican for President Donald Trump also winning the state. The race on the Democratic side between Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton is too close to call. MTN's chief political reporter Mike Dennison talks with one expert about a few surprises.
And this is a state that Sanders should win according to the demographics, so that's what we're kind of expecting. And so far, the early numbers are suggesting that Sanders. Now, going over the governor's race, we do have some interesting results in the Republican primary.
That's right. Greg Gianforte, of course, has won the primary as we expected. He's going to run against Steve Bullock in the fall. But Gianforte, he won 75%. We say only, that's a lot, but nobody's running against him. Terry Nelson didn't campaign at all. It still gets like 25%. Has Gianforte nailed on his base yet? We don't know.
As results from around the country and the state continue to pour in, KTVH is your local election headquarters. You can find the latest results online at ktvh.com throughout the day. Also join us tonight at 5, 6, and 10 as we recap all of these races. Let's talk weather now. We had a stormy Tuesday, and we could see a possible repeat today.
Yeah, we'll have more thunderstorms around. Quiet out there this morning, but that was just like yesterday when we had a quiet morning and then the storms fired in the afternoon. So here we go through the day, and watch in the western part of the state, storms will develop, maybe not as numerous as the storms that we saw come through on Tuesday, but thunderstorms out there nonetheless, and then a few more storms heading into Thursday afternoon. Friday we've got some more storms, and this coming weekend expect a stormy day on Saturday with some rain lingering into the day on Sunday with cooler temperatures.
You can always use the rain, just have to be careful of those lightning strikes and wildfires.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks Curtis. More news, weather, and sports, ktvh.com. Have a great morning. Good morning, Montana, and thanks for waking up with us. I'm Chris Oswalt. Helena police are addressing concerns over the number of door-to-door salespeople in the area. This comes after several people complained about them to police. Officers with the Helena PD tell MTN between May 27th and June 6th, that's just over a week, they received 26 complaints about peddlers. In that same period, 5 people were cited for not having permit to do door-to-door sales. The Helena Police Department says these salespeople don't usually pose a threat, and it is common for there to be complaints.
Typically, it's a suspicious male, female selling products door to door. Unfortunately, I haven't gone back and looked at the CFSs. I can't tell you exact what they were, but it's normal that we get complaints starting around this time of year when they come into town.
Sure. Helena police say follow these tips if you feel uncomfortable with someone trying to sell you something. Firmly say no. Close the door and don't respond to them again. And if the person does not leave or you still feel concerned, you can call police. A new task force created by the Helena School Board meets today to discuss ways to help the students attending CentralLink. In March of 2013, poor conditions forced Central School to close. Students were moved to Lincoln School as a quick fix to the solution, but 3 years later, they're still there. The task force includes school board members, Central teachers, and parents. Time now to talk weather with Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenitz. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we've got some storms still in the forecast. It's going to be a crazy week for you.
Yeah, kind of quiet out there this morning, but watch out later this afternoon. You can see the threat for thunderstorms really increasing. So quiet this morning, but around Helena, Great Falls this afternoon, this evening, some big thunderstorms developing and moving across the state, and it's a little quieter for tomorrow.
A good day to be weather alert.
Yes.
All right, thanks, Curtis. More news, weather, and sports, KTVH.com. Have a great morning. Good morning, Montana, and thanks for waking up with us. I'm Chris Oswalt. 2 Helena dogs are dead after being attacked by 2 different deer. The 2 dogs were killed in residential areas of town when Fish, Wildlife, and Parks say the dogs were sniffing a hidden fawn. One of the attacks happened west of Carroll College, the other near the brew house. FWP says there are a number of deer in the city and reminds dog owners to keep their pets on leashes. Following up now, the report into what caused a dock to collapse at Canyon Ferry Lake is back. In April, MTN asked the Bureau of Reclamation for a copy of the report and the evidence used in the investigation. A Reclamation spokesperson told us he would check on it. We have yet to hear back. 3-year-old Landon Haight died when a hinge access gate on the dock fell on top of him, pinning him underneath. Local bike advocates from the Queen City met with a national organization to learn more about making Helena more biker-friendly. Steve Clark, a representative from the League of American Bicyclists, talked about improving bike lanes throughout town as using cycling as a transportation form to work or just for fun. One recommendation that he made to city leaders is to put up more wayfinding signs. He says it would help bicyclists navigate throughout the city better. Turning it over to Chief Meteorologist Chris Oswalt, we're talking rain, so it's probably not a good idea to get the bike out.
Well, may the wind be at your back today here because we've got some pretty good wind. Now, the rain that fell last night moving out today, a couple of showers up over the mountains along and west of the divide, but really it's a dry day. It's all about the wind. Heading into Friday, mostly dry, but look at the afternoon and evening, couple scattered showers and thunderstorms, and it looks like Saturday, the stormier out of the 2 weekend days. But west winds up to 40 miles per hour today, so not the best hair day. Extra hold in there.
I'll have to ask McKinsey for that. All right. Thanks, Curtis. More news, weather, and sports online, KTVH.com. Have a great morning. Good morning, Montana, and thanks for waking up with us. I'm Chris Oswalt. The Lewis and Clark County Sheriff's Office says candy laced with Xanax is being circulated around the area. The Missouri River Drug Task Force tells MTN the candy is laced after it is opened, being given to people or sold to people wanting the drug. The task force says you won't know the candy is laced until you consume it. MTN is told by drug enforcement officers that this is becoming a popular way for young adults and high school age kids to ingest Xanax. If you think someone is using the drug illegally or a product you consumed is laced, call the drug task force at the number on your screen, 447-8046. Supporters of medical marijuana say they have enough signatures to get the initiative reversing restrictions on the ballot come November. Initiative 182 would remove a new limit limiting medical marijuana providers to only 3 patients. The industry has said the new limits would essentially put providers out of business. Initiative 182 organizers say they have collected 40,000 signatures. The minimum needed is just over 24,000. I-182 is one of 3 marijuana initiatives attempting to qualify for the ballot come November. Turning things over now to Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenetz. Look at our forecast, and if you're going to the Brewers game tonight, you might get a little wet.
Yeah, Pioneer Baseball kicking off this evening. Couple of storms firing right around then, so Friday evening plans, maybe just keep that in the back of your mind as here we go. You can see a couple of those storms firing at around 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock this evening, but it's tomorrow that I've got more issues with thunderstorms. Starts out quiet, but look at those storms moving through the western part of the state into central Montana as we get it into Saturday evening, but that all clears for Father's Day on Sunday.
So enjoy Sunday.
Yes.
All right, thanks,
Curtis. Enjoy Saturday too.
Just with a little rain.
Yeah.
Bring your umbrella. More news, weather, and sports online, KTVH.com. Have a great morning. Good morning, Montana, and thanks for waking up with us. I'm Chris Oswalt. Republican State Representative Art Whittick is being slapped with $16,000 in court costs following his trial for violating campaign finance laws. A district judge fined Whittick $68,200 for accepting illegal corporate campaign contributions. That was back in 2010, and other campaign reporting violations. Whittick must pay $15,900 of the state's cost of pursuing the civil case against him. The total judgment against Whittick amounts to $84,152. Whittick told MTN News yesterday that he'll be reviewing the judgment and considering all of his legal options, including an appeal. The Brewers' opening weekend was a home run with record-breaking attendance dating back to 2003 when the baseball team came back to Helena. Nearly 16,000 people attended opening night, plus Father's Day was the busiest Sunday in 13 years with just over 1,000 people. The team has won all 3 games so far and has 73 more to go this summer.
This is a good way to get started. It builds up energy in the fans, and it could be the great weather. It could be the fact that the team has been doing really, really well. It could also mean the fans have been looking forward to Brewers baseball in the upcoming summer as well.
The team says that they hope to continue this momentum throughout the rest of the season. Talking weather now with Chief Meteorologist Chris Grevenetz, and there's some rain in the forecast.
Yeah, some thunderstorms coming through this afternoon. Let's get to this quickly here. Watch out mainly up along the High Line. You can see these storms could come down as far south as Great Falls and Helena, but really more up along the High Line. And what this system will do is also produce a lot of wind out there today. So wind gusts could top out as high as 40, maybe even 50 miles per hour. So it's summertime now officially. We've got some wind, low humidity, some lightning strikes potentially. So elevated fire risk today. Be careful.
Good reminder to be alert. Thanks, Curtis. More news, weather, and sports online, KTVH.com. Have a great morning. Good morning, Montana, and thanks for waking up with us. I'm Chris Oswalt. A bipartisan group of senators hope to introduce a bill preventing suspected terrorists from buying weapons. The proposal applies to foreigners and Americans on the government's no-fly list and selectee list. Selectees are people who can fly after unusually intensive screenings. Some 109,000 people are currently on those two lists. Yellowstone has a new species that they'll be studying this summer, and of course, that'll be us humans. A full-time social scientist will now be studying visitor expectations and experiences. This comes after several incidents over the past few weeks. You might remember that a lot of park visitors have walked off the boardwalks and just come way too close to the wildlife. 2 members of the Lewis and Clark County Sheriff's Office received statewide honors. 2 sheriff staffers received awards during the annual Montana Sheriffs and Peace Officers Conference in Missoula. Detention Sergeant Laurel Bowson received the Distinguished Career of the Year Award for her 2 decades of service, and 17-year-old department veteran Dan O'Malley was given the Deputy of the Year Award.
Heart-wrenching work of dealing with people who are at their lowest point in their life and still treating them professionally with respect and maintaining a safe environment, which all our customers and my bosses, the voters, want us to do.
Bolson will be retiring from the detention center next week. Talking weather now with Chief Meteorologist Chris Oswalt, and we've got a cool down coming.
Yeah, cool down coming for the weekend. It's going to impact us here across the state, but today it's a beautiful, beautiful summer day, mostly sunny skies, highs in the 70s to right around 80, still a little breezy, but not as windy as yesterday, and getting all the way into Thursday afternoon, that storm moving into Washington and Oregon. That will be coming through Friday with thunderstorms, Saturday with rain, wind, and much cooler temperatures.
So get out and enjoy it before the weekend gets here. All right, thanks, Curtis. More news, weather, and sports online at KTVH.com. Have a great morning. Good morning, Montana, and thanks for waking up with us. I'm Chris Oswalt. Helena taxi riders won't be able to hitch a ride at any time of the day this summer. Capital Taxi Service owner says he will no longer be offering cab services between midnight and 4:30 a.m. That's going to be Sunday through Wednesdays until later in the summer. He says low ridership is the main reason, especially after Carroll College's spring semester ends.
Our taxi service is really slowed down, especially since Carroll College is no longer here. Those late night runs are almost non-existent.
Capital Taxi Service is the only cab company in Helena. Ruska says he also has had trouble filling the driver positions during those hours. A J.K. Ralston mural dating back to 1953 has been restored and brought to the Montana Historical Society. The Swindlehurst family of Livingston had the return of the Raiders in their bank for years. After they donated it, the Historical Society had the artwork fixed up and framed in Pennsylvania. It has been since rolled up in the family's bank that's now closing. It's causing some cracks in the artwork. MHS historians referred to it as Arrival as Christmas. The 15-foot mural was carefully placed inside the Montana Homeland exhibit. The mural depicts a Crow War party returning home from a successful raid in 1850 near the Yellowstone River. Turning things over to Chief Meteorologist Curtis Oswalt now, and we're talking weather.
Yeah, an isolated thunderstorm this afternoon, but you're going to notice the heat today, a little warmer than yesterday, up into the 80s and 90s. There goes some of those storms, but the real storm comes through on Friday. Showers, thunderstorms, wind, snow levels down to about 7,000 to 8,000 feet in the western mountains. Friday evening, if you have evening plans, grab a jacket because it's going to be chilly for June.
Did you say the word snow?
Snow in the mountains, yes, down to 7,000 feet. This is a cold storm.
Let's keep it up there. Thanks, Curtis. More news and weather and sports online at KTVH.com. Have a great morning.